Semper Fi, do or die, US Marines battle cry. G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here. Is there anybody out there who is not familiar with the United States Marine Corps? They're not quite a bunch of sailors and they're not quite a bunch of soldiers. It's a bunch of combat infantry that exist as a separate branch of the US Armed Forces, specifically to be carried on board warships and deployed on the maritime land interface. They don't always get used that way. I'm pretty sure there's been US Marines go to a place called Absurdistan. In fact, just recently, a machine gunner from the Marines, a 28 or 29-year-old, came home after an 8-month tour of Absurdistan, machine gunning the locals as part of the tourist industry. And he found that he couldn't be happy when he demobilised. And he tried going to the various nightclubs. And I don't know, maybe he was waking up in the middle of the night talking to the midnight visitors, the spirits and the shades of the people that he's greased and waxed and wasted and blown away, while getting paid to shoot at strangers for the patriotic glory of the national honour or whatever it was all for. So anyway, yeah, sometimes these US Marines go and do their duty, do their bit, get paid for it, come home and then find that the death cult won't leave them alone. It's still locked inside their head, so they go off and blow everybody away. Try to get everybody who can still be happy and leave them dead. Okay, so I was reading New Scientist magazine nearly a month ago, and I came across a story that's just, it cries out to be told. It's what the US Marine Corps are getting up to now. You know, they're not satisfied with going all over the world and shooting strangers. The United States Marine Corps, the death cult, which grooms youngsters, recruits and enlists youngsters, pays and trains youngsters, teaches them how to use death machines, and then sends them all around the world to kill strangers for pay. They're broadening their business model, shall we say. They're moving into crowd control pulsed lasers. Why the United States Marine Corps thinks they want to have crowd control pulsed lasers that have to be mounted on a vehicle and have an effective range of 100 metres, I guess there's no promotion unless you can grow your empire. But anyway, let's see what New Scientist has to say. Reading from the 20 October copy. Article on page 14, the News and Technology column. The US Marines are developing a laser weapon that can transmit voice messages at long range, or be turned up to deafen or cause painful burns. The Scalable Compact Ultra-Short Pulse Laser System, SCUPLES, you get the idea that the people dreaming up that acronym really wanted it to say scruples, but they couldn't find anywhere to put the R. SCUPLES will be a non-lethal weapon for crowd control, according to US Navy documents. The weapon builds on previous prototypes developed by the pentagonal hemorrhoids. An igniter laser fires an intense pulse lasting just a few million billionths of a second. This creates a ball of plasma which can be created in mid-air or on the surface of a target. A detonator laser then explodes the plasma ball, resulting in a flash and a bang. At the lowest power setting, a rapid series of flashbangs will be modulated to carry robotic speech, conveying instructions over distances of up to 100 metres. At higher levels, it will produce flashbangs as loud as the inside of a jet engine and dazzlingly bright. When aimed at a person, SCUPLES will painfully vaporise the outer layer of skin. The weapon is likely to be mounted on a small vehicle. Previous weapons have been limited by the strength of available lasers. They cannot, to date, provide the full laser performance necessary to deliver all three of the desired non-lethal effects. End quote. The pentagonal hemorrhoid told New Scientist. The Scupples project will work to increase both the power per pulse and the number of pulses per second. Human speech, 400 to 4,000 hertz. That's cycles per second. So they're going to have this laser set off 400 to 4,000 flashbangs per second in the air in front of your face, as long as they don't get it wrong, in order to tell you to put down the weapon. Remove yourself from the area. Only it'll probably sound a whole lot more like Stephen Hawking shouting in your ears with little sticks of dynamite, perhaps. I don't know. It's difficult to imagine using laser-detonated, laser-generated plasma balls as a method of speech modulation. But anyway, somebody got the funding to do this. Let's return to the story and see how they conclude. Scupples could be more adaptable than existing crowd control weapons. That's a could, not a will. It's what they hope for. For example, an individual can be ordered to stop or put down the weapon. If they fail to comply, Scupples could apply increasingly unpleasant effects until the individual complies. But it is not clear how safety will be ensured. Dosage will be decisive for avoiding permanent injury, unquote, says Jürgen Altmann at Dortmund University of Technology in Germany. So the American maritime death cult, which is by law not permitted to deploy on American territory or to operate against the American citizenry, is funding a German mad scientist to come up with a way of creating plasma explosions on the skin of civilians in order to control the crowds. Well, I guess in a universe that runs on perfect liberty and perfect responsibility, freedom of choice means that everyone has the freedom to pick wrong. So everybody who chooses to be involved with such a project is doing so of their own volition. At least they don't conscript people to join their death cult anymore. Everybody involved is a volunteer. So they fully deserve whatever goes wrong in their life as a result of having enlisted. Such is life. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. The dark farts will solve themselves, because the meek shall inherit the earth. Ciao.